you very much, Jorge. We have almost finished the time we have prepared, but since we started a little bit late, if he's not asking too much, having 5-10 minutes of questions that we could use. So I open the floor to you, and I can pass the mic if you have any questions to address to Jorge.
Thank you, Jorge, for the talk. I have a question in regards the maps you show with the global redistribution of marine life. I was thinking, so you are tracking the species following the speed of climate change, of the temperature change, but you are assuming, I guess, that the species are able to follow that rate of change.
You mean for the projections?
Yes, for the projections. But some species maybe are not able to follow that rate, right?
Yeah.
So the places that appear in the map that are supposed to gain a lot of species, they might not actually be gaining that much, right? Because some species might extinct, might not be able to get there.
Yeah, so that's absolutely right. So what we were doing there was this projection exercise where the key assumption was that there was a perfect tracking of the thermal environment by the species, right? We were using, I think it was 14,000 species there. But you are right. I mean, we saw that the percentage at the global scale of agreement with climate expectations was about 60%, wasn't it, for this metadata set of Polachanska. So that variability of response of some species not responding, some species responding against warming is not captured by the model we use. So yes. So those projections are reflecting the scenario that you will have if you have a perfect movement of a species because of climate warming.
I think it could be interesting to see from the data you have until now, knowing the rate that the species are moving, seeing how many of them, try to make a prediction of how many might extinct, how many might not be able to follow the rate.
Well, that was there as well. So I didn't explain the model because I already ran out of time, but our predictions, what we were assuming was that the range of the species was expanding, right, with the movement of the thermal envelope, but at the trailing edge, we were comparing thermal changes in the thermal environment with the thermal tolerance of the species. So when the thermal environment went too hot for the species to be there, the species disappeared, so we have the contractions as well. So it was not only movement, but we were also looking at these local extirpations of the species.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, you can introduce your name and where you come from.
Hi, thank you, Jorge, for the talk. Well, my name is Mariola. I'm working for a European project which is called Climefish, and we are also studying climate change effects in fisheries and aquaculture. And well, from your presentation, I found very interesting things regarding the management plans, which we are working on that, and we are finding a lot of difficulties when going northward in the pelagic case study in the northeast Atlantic, where we are seeing how the pelagic species are moving north. And well, when you mention all the transboundary sheets and the governance agreement, and well, you gave some example in Japan when you mentioned that species that was typical consumed in the south and now is starting to get to appear in the south. In the south, my question is how that people or the fishermen that dedicated their activity to that stock, what's going on now? I mean, they are of course some winners, and there is an opportunity for that community that was not used to consume that species. But what about the other community where I guess that the species has decreased? Or
yeah, so I don't know if I'm understanding your question in the right way, but I think the point about this is what I was saying, that a large deal of how adaptation can be successful is about how local communities, the predisposition that they have to adapt, right? So in this case, I think this is curious because these fish species are being taken by the fishermen. They are in principle because they are eating the algae. So it was kind of trying to control the impact of the fish, but then they are starting to realize that maybe these fish that we are trying to control, also we can get a benefit from this activity that we anyway do to try to protect the algae. So I think this kind of mentality is very different from one fisherman community to other fisherman community, even within the same region. And I think it's very important to try to understand what is driving this kind of change in mentality and predisposition. So I think that's a very important thing.
And are there any adaptation plans right now ongoing with the aim of raising awareness in those communities, like telling them how to adapt? Yes.
Not that I'm aware of. So in Japan, these fishermen communities are very close, and they take their decisions at the level of the community. And sometimes they are also very protective with the data sharing. There is no real way of getting the data to know what is going on there. And I'm not aware of any activity from the government side to try to inform scientifically about these changes. But that would be also important to do.
Thank you.
So, okay, one last quick question.
Hi, thanks for the talk, Jorge. I was wondering if you taking into account the exploitation effects when you speak about deepening of fishes or other species?
No, so far we haven't taken that into account, but that's another. There are some papers showing that
I was thinking
that the changes in the distribution sometimes are driven more by the exploitation, especially for commercial
exploitation.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we don't have questions from the audience online, I'm going to close the session. Thank you very much, Jorge. It was a really, really interesting talk. And thank you all for coming here in person. And
thank you.
Hope to see you.
Thank you very much.